So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today we have Ariel Levin as our guest. CEO and founder Ariel launched Soul Marketing to help businesses capitalize on lead generation potential of LinkedIn marketing. Having developed a passion for advertising and marketing while studying at Auckland University of Technology in New Zealand, he wanted to provide a service that focused exclusively on qualifying leads within the LinkedIn platform. His original version was essentially to become a LinkedIn specialist for clients across the globe. After moving to Israel in 2011, Ariel recruited a small, highly specialized team and got to work developing a system for finding, identifying, and qualifying leads via LinkedIn and email outreach. Today, Soul Marketing has evolved to provide clients across multiple sectors with a cost-effective virtual method for growing their sales pipeline without expanding their in-house sales team. With clients as far as Texas and thousands of high-value leads generated in the last 10 years, the results speak for themselves. When he isn't hard at work, Ariel enjoys mountain biking, swimming, reading, and spending time with his wife and daughters. Welcome, Ariel.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm introduction.
Also with me today is a familiar face, Usman Sheikh, the founder and CEO of XIQ. Prior to founding XIQ, Usman served in several vice president roles with global responsibility at SAP, including sales enablement, digital commerce. He's a regular lecturer at the US Business Schools on how AI is transforming B2B sales. Welcome, Usman.
Thank you, Taylor. Thanks for having me. And of course, you yourself need no introduction, a regular face on the XIQ webinars and a powerhouse account executive with XIQ, still saying SAP, so with XIQ. So thank you very much.
So on our next slide, Usman, today we're going to be talking about the evolution of an SDR and really what's to come. Starting off with what an SDR is, what the SDR process is, how AI is transforming that role of an SDR, and what are the new success metrics, and kind of what that future looks like in this rapidly changing world. So right away, we're going to start off with Usman. What is the role of an SDR?
Yeah, I'll ask Ariel to actually comment on the actual role of the SDR. But what I will say is that, over the last few years, the role of the SDR has been getting a bit stale. And it's been becoming more challenging to qualify, find high quality leads, and then hand them over in a credible manner to the sales reps. And it was great for us to be able to meet with Ariel a few months back and start a partnership, because Ariel actually uses AI and he's quite an expert in ChatGPT, and now he's starting to use XIQ as well. And what he's doing and his company is doing is they are reinventing the role of the SDR. And I'm sure he's going to elaborate a little bit more on it. But I think that what was really refreshing and kind of heartening for me in meeting Ariel was to see how, how he is actually using a lot of creativity in using AI and now also XIQ to kind of help redefine this. And there's a lot of new energy and, fresh aspects of the SDR role that are coming. So Ariel, let me just turn it over to you. Tell us, let's start with like the background on what the role potentially was and how does this, what is an SDR supposed to do, just to kind of establish the baseline over here.
Sure. So the sales development representative, or SDR for short, it's all about helping sales teams by finding solid leads and opportunities. Reps work hard, hand in hand with marketing folks to spot potential leads and then reach out to them through different channels like LinkedIn, email, and Twitter. Their main job is to get in touch with potential customers, figure out if they're a good fit, and set up meetings or demos for the sales team. They're also there to give more info about the product or service and tackle any questions the prospects might have. In a nutshell, SDR role is super important for businesses to find new leads and make their revenue grow.
Beautiful.
So undoubtedly in the world of AI, today, and AI-powered tools are evolving really fast and becoming more prevalent in the sales process. So on our next slide, Ariel, what trends are you seeing that you think are going to play a big role in the future of this sales development representative?
So let's talk about what's possible, and then I'll talk about what we're already doing, maybe. So first of all, AI is impacting lead scoring and qualification. So because it can read a lot of data and can bring it together and bring and spit out coherent answers. It can also automate certain tasks, just like email personalization or chatbot interaction. Sometimes we start seeing AI that handles the entire SDR function, but it cannot replace the human touch entirely, because SDRs still need to build relationships, understand customer needs, and provide personalized solutions. What we're seeing and what we use already is we use ChatGPT. By the way, ChatGPT, for those who might not know, is a large language model developed by OpenAI. It's based on the GPT 3.5 or 4 now architecture. It's capable of understanding natural language and generating human-like responses to various prompts and questions, and can help us research leads. So what we're using ChatGPT for is to find out, to research leads, to find out what their pain points are and what their challenges are, and to give us the symptoms of those pain points and challenges. And then we use those pain points and challenges and symptoms to personalize messages for them at scale. So we teach ChatGPT about their challenges and their pain points. We also feed ChatGPT their about section from LinkedIn, and that generates personalized messages for them. We also use AI to create resources, like we take existing resources, but make them into checklists, into white papers, into frameworks, and then we use those resources to tease out the interests of our prospects. We use tools like AI tools like Fireflies.ai, which can take notes from calls, Teams call, Google Meet calls, Google Zoom calls, and those notes we can feed into ChatGPT and generate meeting summaries, action items, CRM notes, and follow-up email messages. And what I think we'll soon see is sentiment analysis based on what was said in the call. So we will have greater insight into whether a prospect is really interested. We'll see buying signals. So AI will be looking at body language and tone of voice and what was said. And it's going to say, well, this guy might, or this lady might have said this, but actually they're being quite close. They haven't let too much information. And it's going to help us with lead scoring. Also, sales manager will be able to analyze their SDR abilities and know exactly how well they are handling calls and how successful or not they are in conveying the messages and helping prospects move to the next stage. And what we're seeing for us and in general is AI making processes faster, and therefore it improves response time. So like imagine 5 minutes after a call, you get a detailed meeting summary. It makes the SDR looks like a real pro, and it gives them an advantage.
Yeah, and if I may add to that, our partnership started about 2 months ago, and one of the things that we discovered in talking to Ariel and learning about his process was that he was doing a lot of research. He wanted to really personalize the role of the SDR, and also, gather a lot of information about companies to make it extremely pertinent to the conversation and to be able to continuously generate interest and keep the prospects engaged. And that's where our collaboration with XIQ started with Ariel as well. So as I'm sure Taylor will be showing a little bit later, she will be showing us how we're using this AI-based personality tool that XIQ has created around the behavioral science of psychometrics and the ability to predict this thing called the DISC personality assessment, and how Ariel is using that to now maybe even more custom tailor the pitch, right? Ariel, you can tell us a little bit about what your experience has been over there And then, let's look at the process a little bit as we go through in terms of how these different forms of AI, sentiment analysis, ChatGPT, our personality analysis, our ability to give insights into companies, to do SWOT analysis, pain points, how all of that are coming together to help accelerate and make it actually a little bit easier for sales development representatives to do their job, right, in a much more precise and focused manner. So Taylor, are we showing something here, or are we moving a little bit further to show that? You tell us.
We'll show that a little bit later, but I think that does touch on, there's places in this process, in this SDR process, that can be moved quicker and can be done easier, but it's still a process, right? SDRs still have to research their prospects, connect with them, spark, and then keep that interest, qualify the lead, and then still get it over to sales and hope sales accepts it, kind of moves it forward. So starting out, we're going to go through each of these and show you how XIQ can also help out with that process. So on our next slide, starting with research, it's important for an SDR to know who they're talking to, how to communicate with them, and then of course the environment they sit within. So Ariel, I want to start with you though. What are some of the current pain points you're seeing with an SDR research process?
Finding accurate contact information, dealing with overwhelming amount of data, identifying the right decision makers within target organization. That's a constant challenge. Balancing quantity and quality of the leads that are researched. Also ensuring data quality for effective lead qualification and personalized outreach. Naturally keeping up with trends and developments. Everything's always happening, so what's relevant, what's not relevant, and these are sort of the key things that we're seeing here.
And XIQ is really a sales enablement platform, allows the sales rep to conduct all that information and research all in one place. We have the ability to predict personality to prospects, provide company information, build buyer groups, and more. So today I want to take a moment to show you all how with XIQ sales reps can connect research effortlessly over time. I'm going to start sharing my screen and I get to do the fun part of jumping into XIQ live. And so what I'm sharing with you guys is XIQ's Sales Accelerator platform. And we're going to start on our homepage, and our homepage is essentially where a sales rep would go to load up all the accounts they're targeting over time. This is my instance of XIQ, my top accounts, Apple, Intel, Verizon, CVS Health, top people. I have a spotlight of who my accounts are and what they're doing, key financials, but I really want to start with a person, right? It starts with a prospect. So Ariel, in our top navigation bar, we could search a person or a company. In this case, we chose to search you.
Yay.
We could do first name, last name, company, or title and company if you don't know exactly who you're looking for. And so like Usman mentioned earlier, within seconds, XIQ can go search any publicly available information and predict your personality type based on those breadcrumbs that people are leaving behind. And we know people leave a lot of breadcrumbs nowadays on the internet. So here you just double click into your correct prospect and you get a full profile of who they are, what they do, and what their personality type is. So SDRs with no credibility, no connections, and no trust can really build that with ease. So here, Ariel, you're a creator personality type. You rely more on personal intuition rather than norms and rules, which can lead to unconventional decisions. So Ariel, what do you think about this profile? I know you said when you first saw it, it was scary accurate.
Yeah, it was scary accurate, and I'm still surprised with it because it just read something that somebody else wrote about me, and I just approved it on LinkedIn, and maybe some other pieces, and yeah, and it's spot on. So it's pretty amazing. And just thinking about what the right hands can do with this is great, because when we played with AI and in combination with XIQ, the messaging, even the structure of the messages, was super accurate to the way I would like to consume it. Very powerful.
Exactly. It's really we live in this virtual world, Ariel, Usman, we're sitting in these Zoom boxes, if you will. So it's how do you connect with your prospect on the other side of that, having never met them in person? So here we get tips and tricks of how to communicate with Ariel, never having met him, emailing, working together, selling, and more. Scrolling down this profile really quickly, we have sales alignment. This is gauging the compatibility between me, a seller, and my buyer, Ariel. But I know that we're not going into meetings often one-on-one anymore. It's often a few people on my side selling to 10 or 12 people on the buyer side. So here I could also just double check Usman's affinity and see how my boss would interact with Ariel as well and coach him through that process. Here it goes from low, medium to high. Usman has a medium affinity and his tips on how to approach Ariel are going to be different than mine. We also have how to work with
change that medium affinity, right? We're going to make that like kind of high affinity soon.
Usman, that's actually a great note. You can't change the affinity, but you could add a note to this profile and say, my CEO had a great response with Ariel. I think they have high affinity. So again, you have those customized tips and tricks. From here, now we understand who Ariel is. We have career, we can have personal information as well. We then want to move to a higher level and understand company information. So in this case, we can search a company in our navigation bar. For this case, I'm just pulling up Verizon and we get a scorecard of who they are, what they do, financials, key executives, competitor, a whole host of information without having to leave one platform. Scrolling down, we have sales triggers. Sales triggers is a word XIQ uses to describe any time that key account is in the news based on 21 different topics. We have staff, key executives, notable staff, key financial information, latest earnings, annual reports, SEC filings, social media pages, any videos they have, details, and competitors. And I'm showing you guys a high level overview of this, but I'm telling you there's so much information here. It's really a one-stop shop. We also provide places for your sales reps to align. So here we provide SWOT analyses. So looking at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So your sales reps can come in and align your solution with your prospects' goals and pain points. We also bring those pain points to you. So as a sales rep, I know how hard it is to go look through those 10K reports and seek out this information which companies are trying to hide. XIQ really surfaces this. And this is just the first tip of the iceberg with XIQ, but I want to jump back to our slides now. So we talk about the next step once we conducted this research.
So maybe if I can just add to that and ask Ariel a question. So, this was a lot of stuff, right? There's a lot of information, but I think the idea, Ariel, over here is that when your prospects are when your SDRs are doing the research, it's all available to them. However much they want to pick from the cart, it's one location they need to go to, and they can always go there to find fresh content, right? And they have this added advantage of being able to get into the mind of their prospective buyer and see what kind of alignment it is, how to actually start approaching them. Maybe you can comment a little bit about that. I mean, I know this is a lot of information, but having it in one location and then having the added advantage of being able to get the personality insights, how does that feed into the SDR research cycle?
So the personality insight, I think whoever's going to use it needs to have some training on because they need to understand how to on using the system. But once they're trained, they'll be able to craft better messaging that are more likely to get consumed by whoever they're going to send them to. It's the wording, it's the structure. And some other factors as well that they can use, which is great. Also, they can use the content to create their own thought pieces or thought leadership based on that content, and they can use ChatGPT to write those pieces, which is great. And the third thing is when they transfer the lead to sales, then they can give them a whole lot more information about the company. So when and the person. So that's a better transition, and the salesperson, the SDR feels that they gave all they have. The salesperson feels very empowered to reach out to that person because they know their personality type. They have a presentation about all the information that they need to know. They got some news pieces. They can be icebreakers. So very, very useful, and all in a few clicks away, other than just going through Google and looking and trying to figure out things. So yeah, very effective.
Saves a lot of time, I would imagine.
Saves a lot of time. It's just, it's not so, it's, the time is important, but also the ease of use is critical, because salespeople in SDRs, they got a lot on. They want things easy. They want things at their fingertips, and if it's there, people are going to use it. If it's a process, unlikely.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point.
And so researching is really important, but how do you really connect with these people once you have all this research? And Ariel, I want to kind of turn this to you again. What do you see that's working versus not working in SDR outreach? I know you're really focused on using the power of LinkedIn for your kind of connections and promoting that.
Sure. So LinkedIn gives us insight about our prospects. Simply by reading their about and recent posts, we learn who they are and what they care about. Let's see what does not work is one size fits all messaging. Doesn't work. Lack of personalization doesn't work. Not enough follow-up. So I believe that you must continue until you get either a yes or a no. If people are using just one channel and then they give up, so instead of using LinkedIn and Twitter and email and publishing content on LinkedIn to get seen and generating social engagement, so that can be commenting, resharing, retweeting, commenting on Twitter, commenting on LinkedIn, so all that social selling. People are not targeting enough leads, and then they give up, and they're not targeting the entire buying committee. So these are the things. If people are doing those things, things do not work. What does work is naturally the flip side of all of this. So personalized messaging, adequate follow-up. Excuse me for a second. Targeting enough leads and targeting the entire buying committee. And other than that, it's really about being interesting, being efficient and timely, and being human.
And Ariel, it's really about how do you customize at scale, right? We need the quantity, but we also need the quality. And so XIQ is really focused on doing that. We're really excited to announce that we've recently integrated, or ChatGPT has integrated with XIQ. And to really preference this, ChatGPT is an AI language model that can help with tasks and do things such as write emails, code, and more. And XIQ can predict personality types. So when we really pair those and marry those together, we get highly personalized emails that are scalable. And so we're going to start with a video of what this looks like, and then I'm going to jump into it and do the exciting part of showing it live. So we're going to pull up that video in the background here. And I want to just mention how important this is as a sales rep. I don't want my solution more than 3 clicks away. And I can promise you this is less than 3 clicks.
Are you struggling to write the perfect email? In today's competitive business world, every second counts. Don't waste time trying to create a perfect email from scratch. Let XIQ handle the heavy lifting. With our cutting-edge technology, hyper-personalized emails are just a click away. Stay tuned to witness the innovation XIQ and ChatGPT have in store for you. You don't want to miss this.
So now I'm going to share this live in my instance of Outlook, although I want to point out that we also integrate with Gmail. And first, I'm going to jump over and show an email that I would write to Ariel. So XIQ originally can pull out personality types based on those email addresses that you're sending emails to. So we already were automating those personality types in the right-hand side. But now, since we're integrated with ChatGPT, it's allowing us to write customized emails. So here on my side panel integration add-in of XIQ, I have the choice of a sales email or a marketing email. Within this, I can also add Ariel's tone, his preferred subject lines, his preferred email body, and his salutations. I then put user input, so what I want my email to be about. And this could be as simple as you want it, or it could be as detailed as you want it as well. In this case, I wanted to keep it simple, so I just said introduce to XIQ, and that prompts ChatGPT in XIQ to look at the personality of Adriel, as well as what's publicly available about XIQ with ChatGPT. And what this output is it gives me a customized subject line. So introducing XIQ, AI-powered marketing and sales intelligence platform. This is for Ariel. And here it pulled out the body, and I pulled it out here for you guys to see it as well. And so because Ariel is a creative personality type and he focuses on sales teams, ChatGPT and XIQ picked that up. And so it wrote a sales email focusing on sales pipeline, sales team, and sales team's processes in progress. I did the exact same email for Usman, which I'll share here again. And it wrote it differently. So again, same input, introduced to XIQ. The subject line is now revolutionize your business with XIQ. It's focused on Usman's business. And then I pulled the email out again so you guys can see it here. And it's focused on gathering those analytics and data because Usman has a conscientious, dominant personality type. So it's not only focused about the progress of sales teams, but also bullet pointed it out with those specific ROI case studies. And Usman, I know you're super excited to introduce this as well.
Yeah, so Taylor, what we are showing over here is that based on who the recipient is, based on who we're targeting, the ChatGPT XIQ combination, XIQ providing the personality and the communication preferences of the individual, and the ChatGPT language model providing how to write to them, basically crafted two very distinct different messages for those individuals. And Ariel, I would imagine that having this kind of personalization available to SDRs gives them a significant opportunity to start connecting, right? We're seeing this already on the email side of things, that when sales reps are using this tool, they're getting almost 10 times more engagement. So do you see this also as something that is, helping when you're doing your LinkedIn outreach and other way of connecting with individuals, as something that will be, a unique differentiator for the SDR? I think you're on mute, Ariel, sorry.
Sorry, again, it's the ease of use that's critical here. So all they have to do is state what they want to do and who they're going to target, and it's there for them. Even if they're not going to use the message as it is, and maybe they're going to edit it a lot, it's been generated in a few seconds. Now they have to change it a little bit, but it's personalized. It's this personalized as well, or adjusted, and that really produces. It's automation without the personal touch. So again, the ease of use is critical. I would use this as well, and I would copy paste those messages for LinkedIn as well. So I'd love for something like this to be available for LinkedIn, maybe through XIQ or something. That would be great, because this is really, really useful for personalization at scale.
Yeah, I think you just said something very important, which is that you may not use it exactly, but you can edit it. And it's given you a good head start in terms of how you want to personalize and how you want to communicate with that individual. So, yeah. Go ahead.
Now we've connected, we've done our research, we've reached out over email, but now we have to keep the interest of our prospects. We all know we live in a 3-second world where we can scroll down social media and forget the post I just saw. So things are constantly changing. Ariel, how are you seeing people spark and then keep sparking the interest of prospects?
So two things: content, whether we create it or curate it, it helps us nurture our prospects. So being interesting. Research and personalization. So we know both the work history, the interest, and the pain points of our prospects. So every piece of communication we produce can and must be infused with these data points about them. People need to know the SDR has done their research, and prospects wants to feel special as well. So it's very, very important. And I think, keep someone's attention. I think one of the features that you've shown before, or that XIQ has, is the ability to surface news stories and then share it to them. It might be about their company, or it might be about their competitors. It might be about something's happening in their industry. So all those things, this is how we keeping someone's attention.
Exactly. And I'm going to get to do the exciting part once more and then just jump into XIQ's platform live. And exactly like you said, Ariel, XIQ allows sales reps to go into the platform and find information to talk about. You can know who the person is, but if you make a phone call and you don't know what you're going to talk to them about, you don't have a conversation. So here I'm going to share my screen. And XIQ uses sales triggers to start this conversation. And a sales trigger, just a reminder, is anytime that key account is in the news based on 21 different topics. So here, as a sales rep, I could come into XIQ. I could filter out the information I want, subtract the ones I don't want, hit apply, and XIQ will bring to my doorstep the information that's most relevant to me. Here, I could double click on an article to get a Cliff Notes version or read it in its entirety. And then once I find it, and once I know I want to share it with a prospect, I could begin to share it with them over LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Teams, and more. And like Ariel said, it could be stuff about awards saying, hey, prospect, I saw your company did this. I wanted to publicly congratulate you for it over LinkedIn, because I know we're all victim of, if someone tags us on anything on social media, we will see it within 5 minutes because we want to know, is it something great or is it something bad? I won't read an email with my name 3 lines down, but I'm going to check my LinkedIn if someone posts something about me. And this could also be competitors' news, right? You could share this publicly over LinkedIn in a post. But even if you're in those partnership conversations and you already kind of know the person, you could also send them a message over LinkedIn, and then you can send it to them with their competitors' news. Say, hey, this is what your competitor is doing. I just want to give you a heads up. So again, just bringing that valuable information to them to keep and then spark their interest over time. XIQ also alerts you of all this company news. So let's say you're super busy one day and you're on your phone. XIQ will alert you in the platform, over your mobile device, and in your Outlook each morning as well. So now we've sparked the interest of our prospects and we've kept them interested. Ariel, now it's kind of the hard part, that qualification piece. So what really makes a qualified lead? There's so many different metrics that people are using to measure this today.
Yeah. So with qualification, with outbound, we do the research. Research pre-qualifies our leads because we analyze digital signals like funding events, recruiting activity, layoffs, growth, whether somebody is new to the role, whether someone attended a virtual or real-life event. And all of these can signal that they have a certain interest or a need which pre-qualifies them for us. Once we establish that, we reach out and let the prospect validate our qualification. We do this by asking questions that relate to their role to discover if they have a challenge or product our product or service can solve. So that's with outbound. With inbound, the work that we do by publishing thought leadership pieces, by sending relevant news articles, by posting on LinkedIn and commenting on posts, is getting prospects to reach out to us. And mostly in this case, they are qualified, at least in terms of motivation and willingness to speak. We still need to make sure that they tick the other boxes of our qualification process.
I think that's a huge piece because a lot of CFOs are looking at, do they have the money? Are they a qualified company? But at the end of the day, it's a person. Like we've been saying the whole time, it's a person. Let them qualify themselves. If they're not ready to talk to you, they're not ready to talk to you. So really let them come to you. And Ariel, you said qualified leads will come to you too if you start pushing out stuff on LinkedIn, which I thought was really interesting. And I want you to touch on that a little bit too. SDRs creating their own content.
So yeah, we're seeing more and more SDRs creating their own content. Not enough, but they talk about what they do, and sometimes they just talk about the SDR life and where they are, and people are consuming their content and then checking out who they are and then checking out their company page, and then all of a sudden they reach out to them. This is how me and Usman started our business relationship, and many other clients have started working with us because I was fortunate enough to post really early about ChatGPT. I found some prompts that I could share, and I shared them, and that post received 5.2 million registered views, and a lot more because many people have shared it through various notes, so various channels. And I've got connected to many people, so there's opportunities. And even though that post didn't have anything to do with my work as an SDR and an agency owner, it still generated business for me because people checked me out. I had like 20,000 profile views or something around that number, and that generated lots of inquiry. So, you know, even if you're an SDR and you don't want to write about your company, if your profile is optimized and you're writing about things that are of interest to you, or videoing about it or creating carousels about it, it's still going to generate business for you. And people are going to be more likely to connect with you because they see that you're a person, and you might even have mutual hobbies or interests to your prospects. So that's really going to help.
Yeah, I'll add to that. So Ariel, your example of how we connected is actually a really, really good example. So, you know, today it's not just the salespeople researching their prospect. It's also the clients and the prospects that are researching their salespeople, right? And seeing if they have the necessary domain knowledge and the skill sets for them to be valuable partners. So, for example, you were an early adopter, and even though you were sharing a lot of content that was from other people, right? For me, it was coming, you were the channel that was bringing it to me. And I associated you right there earlier on as somebody who was really committed to AI, using ChatGPT, and to kind of redefine the role of the SDR. And that's what opened the door between us, right? Because we had a solution, we had a platform, and we wanted somebody talented like you to come and work with us, you know, kind of help us, guide us a little bit in terms of, hey, how would you modify what we have for an account executive into the role for a sales development rep, right? And that's how we met. And I think that's the example that Taylor was giving, which is that you can find all this great up-to-the-minute content in XIQ, and you can use it through private messages or posting it on LinkedIn. And by doing so, you start establishing your own personal brand and your reputation as somebody who knows the subject matter. And what XIQ in this example has done is it's made those topics and those subjects become very quickly available to individuals. So Ariel, for example, in your instance of XIQ, if you were to start tracking OpenAI, for example, right, or ChatGPT, you would start getting a lot of fresh news about OpenAI and ChatGPT within XIQ, which you can then really quickly repurpose and share. Just like, you know, you've been doing so based on what people have been posting on LinkedIn. Now you can be also posting from other news sources that are relevant and talking about it. And that will only enhance and build your brand reputation as a innovator and somebody that's breaking fresh ground in this space. And I think that's really what is important, because I've looked at this sales development role for almost, I hate to say it, but almost 20, 10 years or so more. And you know, it was starting to get a little stale, right? And needed some fresh input and some fresh juice, you know, and some abilities for that. Personalization was a big factor, in my opinion, right? It was very, very important that I'm approached not from a cookie cutter approach, but somebody, you know, who is expressing that they've done a little bit of research on me, have bothered to invest time to find out who I am, rather than the one size fit all approach being used to everyone. And again, tools like these and, can really help you craft that personal message. As Ariel said, post news that is of interest to you, right? And it's very, very important because it helps you build that personal brand. So yeah, I think this is a really good way of kind of getting the message out, becoming an original thought leader, so to speak, right?
100% there, Usman. And so now we've qualified our lead, we've reached out to them, we've sparked the interest, we've done what we think is the hard part, but then we have to hand it over to a sales team who has to accept it and bring it forward. And so Ariel, I want to touch base with you on this. Is there a problem with sales reps refusing leads? What are those pain points in the process? Why aren't those leads crossing over the finish line to account executives?
Okay, sometimes sales might reject leads because they're not just not qualified, or they don't have enough relevant info. If sales don't feel like they're a part of the whole process, they might not be as into it and they might reject leads. But when marketing delivers everything they need, it sets the sales rep up for a win. That means fewer rejections, more conversions, and all that good stuff. So the problem usually comes from doubts about how good the lead is, or if the lead's needs match up with what sales can offer. And just to sort this, you need a solid process for qualifying leads and better communication between the sales and marketing teams. Using sales enablement tools like CRM system and training resource can really help too. At the end of the day, it's all about teamwork.
Exactly. And XIQ really values teamwork and collaboration. So I want to show you how easy it is to transfer, Ariel, like you said, the whole picture over to an account executive. Because if you give them half the picture, they're not going to know what to do with it. Everyone's busy. You need to give them the whole process. So here I'm going to share my screen and jump back into XIQ for a moment. And what I'm going to be sharing is buyer relationship management. And so buyer relationship management is on the people tab of XIQ. So when you start following people within XIQ, they'll be added to their company's buyer group. And a buyer group is just a way for sales reps to organize and SDRs to organize all the potential profiles that are going to be in a buyer's journey. So here I made one for Verizon, and I've added all my potential buyers that I think could be involved in the process of selling to Verizon. We have our doers, and XIQ's AI will sort these personalities into doers, coaches, and blockers. Doers are confident and fast-paced. Coaches are problem-oriented. And blockers are just going to be more speculative. So they're going to need all the ROI cases. But again, mentioning that handover to the sales team, XIQ is really about collaboration. So here, if I'm an SDR, I've added all the potential people I think could be involved in a deal. All I have to do is then go share this with a particular member of my sales team. So then they have all this information, including my notes that I've added over time. Here, you're going to see that Ethan had originally moved Diego to a blocker category when he was speaking with him, trying to get him in a meeting. I then spoke to Diego as a sales rep, and I was able to get him to make introductions. So again, just a map of that entire conversation going backwards. And this just makes it super easy and seamless for SDRs to hand this to account executives, and then account executives to hand off to customer success teams. It has the whole entire communication track. And then, of course, they're not just a number in a CRM with a title. It's a person with a personality, with a picture, who's going to eventually sign your deal. So this is just one piece of XIQ's collaboration features that we really value.
So Taylor, if I can just ask you these questions, what you've just shown us is the role is like the SDR, as they're going and discovering people, making calls, reaching out to them, they're following them over here. And so, for example, if they're following individuals, they're trying to reach out to companies like Verizon or even smaller companies, right? So we have, just to kind of highlight, somebody had asked this question, which was like, yeah, Verizon is a big company. What about smaller companies? And so, the public listed companies will have a whole wealth of information, but we have a lot of smaller companies as well. However, on the people side, we have access to over 2 billion profiles, profiles. So as we go and discover individuals that we're finding, that we might be interested in, we're adding them to a buying committee or a group over here. And Taylor, what you're showing us, if I understand this, is that as we add them, they fall into these three behavioral segments: doers, coaches, and blockers. And then an SDR can enhance that based on the notes they have taken, based on the discussions they have had, whether they actually feel this person is a doer or a coach, and, how their reactions have gone. All of that is available within this. And then this is now, what Ariel was saying, it could potentially challenging to kind of hand this across to sales rep and get credibility. This becomes kind of like, Ariel, I would imagine, like the digital dossier that you're handing over to the SDR, like, hey, these are the people that we have uncovered, and this is how they stack up amongst each other in terms of their natural affinity. And these are the notes that the SDRs have taken on them. So it becomes that much easier for sales reps to just go to one location, pull this up, see who those people are, and then be able to start picking the ball and kind of taking it from there. Because one of the things, and maybe you want to highlight a little bit on that, Ariel, is that one of the things I felt was that, having too many handoffs, SDRs having one set of communication and one communication style, and then the account sales reps having yet another handoff and another communication style, there's a lot lost, right? So I've, as an SDR, built a relationship with you, but then I'm handing it across to Taylor to pick up the ball and run it, to score a touchdown. And in between there, there's a lot of chance for fumbling to happen, right? And so tell us a little bit about that, right? Do you see that, right? Like how, the language and the personality gap between the SDR communicating and then handing it over to a new person to kind of pick up the ball and run with it. You've noticed challenges, I'm sure.
Yeah, there are challenges, but I think what happens is there needs to be a standardization of the process of the handover. So the sales team need to really lay out what they want, how they want the information, and then it's the SDR role to provide that information. And if it doesn't, then they have every right to not be satisfied. But today you can do really great work with your tools, and also just by summarizing, just using Fireflies, recording the meetings, summarizing them, creating meeting notes, bringing the personality type, all the information. There are no excuses to provide really good handover. And also it's crucial, not so much for the relationship between sales and marketing, but also for someone not to have to rediscuss all their pain points and challenges that they have discussed in the first call with the SDR, but to start the call with the account executive, and the account executive says, hey, Usman, I've noticed that XIQ have these three challenges. This is what Ariel told me. Has anything changed? And you're starting, oh, they understand me, they took notes. Now we can move on. Okay, what have you got to show me? Okay, so you can save a lot of time and really treat people, respect their time. So this is where the crucial handover is, to respect people's time. I've read about it in some LinkedIn posts as well. So people are complaining about needing to go through all the information, company information, challenges, pain points, all those type of things. So it's where a good handover is crucial. So good handover, client happy, sales and marketing happy. That's what we're aiming for.
Ariel, I've been noticing and the questions, and there's a question that came up for, I think you should address this. It says, you mentioned AI summarizing the call and creating minute notes. How does that work with states with laws that prevent two-sided call recordings? What are your thoughts on that?
So first of all, I'm not familiar with those laws, so I'll be whenever something is recorded or to be used later, then I guess the minimal respect and decency would be to say, hey, I'll be recording those notes, I'll be using AI, this is the and do I have your permission to do that? And if so, you add the AI as a guest on the event, and that's cool. And if they say no, no, just say normal notes with your hand, with a pen and paper. So just be prepared for that as well. And I would understand if somebody doesn't want that because of security challenges and everything around that. So yeah, especially if they foreclose, not foreclose, I mean, if they discuss sensitive information.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, we always ask, before recording a call, hey, do we have your permission to record? And I think
Yeah.
it's visible on the screen as well if you're recording the call. So it's not like
Yeah.
anonymous that we are eavesdropping and listening in to to people's calls and kind of monitoring that. You're right. It's a matter of decency as well. I think there's some good questions, and we should jump into that if that's okay, Taylor. So there's somebody saying states that require two-party consent. Do you believe asking for permission or prospecting phone calls will work? Absolutely, it does. And we do it, and we don't force the issue. We never, and Ariel, I'm sure you will also agree that we never record calls unless we have the permission of the person listening in. There's another question which is around where is this data coming from? I think that's directed towards us. Where does this personality data come from? So two aspects of that. So one is we collect publicly available information. So everything that's in the public domain. So anything I could do, like when we created Ariel's personality insights, it would be the equivalent of doing a search on Ariel, right? And we do the search on Ariel, whatever comes like from a Google-like search, it's okay. Whatever comes back from a Google-like search, we would convert that, feed it to our algorithm. Our algorithm is trained on behavioral science methodology called DISC, and it has existed for some time. And so we're able to then run that into a prediction. We can even unshare that screen, and let's just go straight away into any other questions. If people have questions, please post on the web. We are taking those questions.
And I always say, if you don't have questions now, you might have questions later. Ariel and Usman and myself, XIQ would be more than happy to meet with you all and discuss maybe what challenges you're seeing in your SDR process and what kind of creative solutions we can come up with together. We are sole believers in the success of B2B sales and B2C sales, so we're here to support you. We want to be partners. We love talking about this stuff. So again, if you don't have a question now, but want to talk about maybe the pain points you're having, we'd be more than happy to do so.
So there's another question over here. Is there a free trial? And the answer is we have limited time free trials, and contact us. I think our team has put up a link for a demo page, and just there's a contact at XIQ if somebody wants to type that in from our side. Ariel, if there's a link to contact you, please, you may want to put that into the chat as well, so that they can reach out to you as well. And yes, contact us.
There's a question for Gia you might want to address.
Sure. You want to read it, or GI?
Are you able to analyze profiles in other languages than English? Are integration with CRM supported?
Yes, so great question. Thank you very much for asking that question. So yes, so right now we look at English, but we have translation capabilities. And if the data resides in a foreign language, then we will in the future be able to pick that up, analyze it, and present it back even in one of those languages. Today, XIQ is translated in over 140 languages. So the tool itself, you can read in 140 different languages. Integrations with CRM are there for Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics. And folks, Ariel has put in sdrlabs.io, his website, as well as his LinkedIn. And again, XIQ team, if you want to put in our LinkedIn page, that would be good to follow us. And I think you've already posted our demo page as well.
But again, feel free to reach out to either of us, any of us. Thank you for joining. Ariel, thank you so much for that great discussion and your input. We look forward to continuing to work with you in the future to solve the problems we find, what's happening in the rapid evolution of the B2B sale. So please reach out to Ariel or XIQ if you have any questions or would like to set up a short meeting to see how we can get your pipeline really set up for success. Thank you for everyone who joined early in the morning. Thank you for everyone who joined late in the evening. We appreciate your time and look forward to hopefully meeting you. Thank you, Ariel, again.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Usman.
Thanks. Thank you so much for your time. And thanks everybody as well. Appreciate that.